going to show you guys a new XP farm I found in Starfield. This one is actually so insane. This one will get all your combat skills maxed out in like 10-20 minutes depending on what it is you're trying to level.
This video guide will show you how to get 100,000 runes to level up your character fast.
These make it easy to go on an all-out spending spree, can give you infinite building supplies, and also give you unlimited building size.
In this video, I'm going to talk to you about two of the best and most time-efficient ways to make tons of money in the Witcher 3 that are still working with the next-gen update.
Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to cheese every single boss in Borderlands 2 to make this easy game even easier.
Alright, let's go over the new top 5 overpowered guns after the recent update here in Modern Warfare 2. The first gun we're going to be checking out is the Bass P submachine gun. It's easily one of the best SMGs in Warzone and in multiplayer. And also, guys, right here is a picture of my cat.
With Season 4, there is so many weapons. So in today's video, I'll be showing you how to get the best loadout in all of Season 4. Let's go.
Yes, let's go. Outside to talk about the internet. It's built careers, destroyed careers, and ruined gaming? Well, maybe not ruined, that's a bit of a strong word, but it's definitely done some damage. And well, yeah, the internet has done some good for video games. We're not going to be focusing on that in this video, because negative YouTube titles seem to be the only thing you shysters click on. So get that hiking gear ready, people, because we're going to talk about how using exploits and cheats is cheating you out of an experience. How being told what weapons to use in multiplayer is not only hindering your enjoyment, but also worsening other people's in-game experiences by shifting the meta, and why single-player games seem to have lost a sense of discoverability, replayability, and so much more.
Macros guides.
Some of us would be lost without guides. I know that I'd be lost on this trail without my guide dog. See, I seem to have come to a bit of a fork in the road, not quite sure where to go. And I did look up this trail on the internet, and nobody seems to have made a guide for it on YouTube yet. So looks like I'm gonna have to figure this one all out on my own. But if I don't upload this video, then it means that I've perished out here on this trail. So if you're not watching this right now, then please send help immediately. This is not a joke. This is a serious. So then looks like I only got one option. Come here, boy. Yeah? Okay, good. He's got the scent of the car locked in. Now, buddy, take us home. Yes. Okay, big mistake. I have no idea where we are. I'm starting to worry that I might never make it back home. And I really need to get home because I have something important waiting for me there. My FlexiDesk E7 Pro. I've wanted one of these desks for years, man. And thanks to today's sponsor, I finally got one. Especially because my last desk really sucked. It wobbled more than an elderly person getting out of the bathtub. But like an elderly person in a coffin, my FlexiDesk doesn't wobble one bit. This FlexiDesk is more important to me than a human baby. And similar to a father bringing home his newborn child, I was so thrilled to bring this thing into my home. I was able to set this bad boy up relatively easily by myself in about 40 minutes, which is far faster than the 9 months it takes to assemble a baby. I'm also able to aim better when gaming because I don't need to worry about my hand going too far to the right and falling off the desk. I also don't need a mouse pad because I got the gaming Surface, which turns the entire desktop into a mouse pad for the mouse for my desktop computer. I've been using the FlexiDesk for a couple of weeks now, and I genuinely really like it. I just hope I can make it home so that I can sit underneath it one last time. Yes, I've gotten back on the trail. Oh, thank goodness. That was close. Come on, buddy. Oh, he's friendly.
Oh, she is too. You're okay.
Yeah. Do you have a FlexiDesk at home?
Huh?
You do?
Yeah, I work in ergonomics.
Nice. I just got one. I'm a big fan.
Oh, good for you. It's good for your neck and stuff.
If you use my link in the description and use the exclusive code YTBNY through D for extra $30 off on E7 and E7 Pro. Use YTBNY50 for an extra $50 off on the E7 Plus. I'd recommend picking one of these bad boys up, but whatever you guys decide to do out there, just remember to stay flexy. Guides have become so needless and rampant that people are making guides on what settings you should use before even picking up the controller.
Now next in the regular settings section, we have the shortcuts 1 and 2. You have the option to turn the game speed to 30%, which can create some really cool slow-mo shots if you're trying to capture some gameplay.
Now, mind you, this guy is explaining the settings on a console game where the settings are already explained to you over on the side there, making this video and thereby this TikToker's life completely worthless. I'm sorry, Jacob, I just can't help but josh. Now, I'll freely admit that this is relatively innocuous, but it gets so much worse.
I'm going to show you guys a new broken exploit that just got into the game for controller aim assist. After changing these settings, you will be able to start beaming kids in every game and having Cronus Zen-like aim without even cheating in some of
I genuinely believe that certain guides out there can ruin entire games for the people that use them, and that some of us have become overly reliant on them. I definitely used to be. Back in my achievement hunting days, I wouldn't even start playing a game until I had read all the achievement descriptions and had a collectible guide up on my phone, which completely shattered the game's pacing and immersion as I would pause the game every time I got a collectible, so that I could watch the collectible guide to make sure I didn't miss the next one. And what this also did was kind of spoil what was to come next. Recently, I've been playing through Lies of P, and I've been absolutely loving every second of it. And part of that is because I've been consciously making an effort to avoid any content for it online. I've been going through it completely blind. What the oh my... Jesus. And I've done this for every Souls-like that I've played, carefully checking every single corner to make sure I don't miss any items, mulling over every decision I make because they all carry consequences. But then as I reached what felt like the final area of the game, I couldn't help but go online and check out some YouTube videos to see what I missed, to see what dialogue options I chose that locked off certain storylines and achievements so that I could make more appropriate choices in my next playthrough. But since I was already in this deep, I figured I'd look into how to get the rest of the achievements, where I was then informed about what choices were coming up next in the story, and which choices I needed to make in order to unlock certain weapons, so that I could, of course, unlock the achievements. Which only served to lessen the weight of my in-game choices, since I knew what was coming, and I had plenty of time in advance to think about what I wanted to say. And while it did save me time, it also served to completely disconnect me from the game and made the entire experience feel less special as a result. I robbed myself of experimentation. Guides do serve a purpose though. Sometimes thanks to bad design or maybe even your own ineptitude, you simply just get stuck with no clue where to go next. Or maybe you haven't played a particular game in a few weeks and you need a little refresher for what you've done and where you've been. But when it comes to guides, I think the negatives far outweigh the positives. They can completely rob you of any and all discovery that a game offers by showing you where the best stuff is.
This one, I want to show you guys how to get a fantastic shield. For the tanky boys out there that do not want to take any damage or don't want a stamina penalty when blocking, then this shield is for you.
Or how to become overpowered early in a game like Starfield.
I'm going to teach you the best possible start for Starfield. We're going to cover how to min-max your credits, how to get a super weapon early on, and standard weapons so that you can easily destroy the entire game from the very start.
If you follow these types of guides, you miss out on that sweet feeling of finding these items for yourself, and even worse, completely negate the need to explore since you already have the best stuff. So why bother looking for something better? Now sure, you could ignore these videos that pop up in your feed and just play the game your own way, but it's only human nature to be curious about what we could be doing better, how we could be optimizing our builds or making the game easier on ourselves. But if you're scrolling through shorts or TikTok, the algorithm just puts these videos in front of you and you're at their mercy. At that point, you can't help but watch as your playthrough is getting ruined. I consider everything we're going to be talking about in this section to essentially be modern-day cheat codes because they can trivialize a game in its entirety by giving you nearly unlimited money, or overleveling your character far beyond what the developers intended for the early game, and these can downright ruin your experience. Let's take Fallout 4 as an example real quick. As you play, you'll naturally come across weapons and materials in order to build up your arsenal and strengthen your settlements. All the while, you'll be gradually leveling up, giving you access to more skills that'll enhance your game. You guys all know how this works. It's typically very natural and organic, unless you use an exploit, in which case you'll break the entire flow of the game. Like this exploit here allows you to duplicate materials, making it unnecessary to search the open world for them or purchase them from a vendor. Then those duplicated materials can be used to craft an endless amount of statues, giving you unlimited XP. And you can do all of this without even leaving the starting area of the game. There's another exploit that gives you unlimited caps, allowing you to go to town and buy all of the ammo ammo and legendary weapons you could ever want, making scavenging containers for ammo and stim packs an afterthought. Exploits can be done in all sorts of big games like this: Starfield, Skyrim, Cyberpunk, The Witcher 3, Spider Guy 2, Horizon Forbidden Fruit, Tears of the Femdom, Baldur's Gate, Red Dead 2, Senile Ring, and so many others. Once you discover exploits in a game, it's nearly impossible to go back to playing it normally. It's like this. Imagine you working minimum wage at a McDonald's under the tyrannous thumb of Steve and Patula. But then, when you go home, you realize that you can go to your grandma's medicine cabinet, swipe all of her pills, and then, when she realizes that she's ran out and starts to panic, you can sell them back to her at a high price. Yeah. See, after discovering an exploit like that, it would be impossible to go back to working at a McDonald's. So since playing the game normally isn't really an option anymore, the replay value essentially evaporates. In a game like Elden Ring, exploits can be extremely harmful because it detracts from the game's challenge factor, which is what games like that are built off of. But it gets even worse. Let's say you're struggling with a boss in Elden Ring. You can just look up what its weaknesses are and what weapons to use against it, or even worse, how to simply cheese the boss.
This might be a little bit tricky to find for the first time. There is going to be a massive branch sticking out from the rocks. Once you're on top, jump down to the lower level branch and make sure Radahn can still detect you. He'll start gravitating up towards the cliff, and if the height is tall enough, he'll jump down, he'll fall to the ground and straight to his death, instantly killed.
Now for my money, both of these methods take away that feeling of relief and accomplishment that you get for defeating a boss with your own pure, raw skill and the discovery of builds. Now I think these exploits should be avoided if they can, because in the long term it'll only help you develop your own skills, as exploring and experimenting with different weapon classes deepens your knowledge of the game and helps you build up some game sense. It'll also help you improve at learning how to read enemy attack animations. You'll improve your attack discipline, as it's best not to get greedy and hit the boss one too many times, leaving you open to an attack. And you'll improve at keeping your composure when things get super tense towards the end of a boss fight. I think using exploits for games like this is damaging to both the game and the player, because all of these skills translate into other games that are similar, meaning you could be negatively impacting future games that you haven't even played yet. Case in point, all the skills I gained from playing every FromSoft game translated seamlessly into Lies of P, as I've been rinsing through that game like it's nothing, until I get to a boss fight, of course. Then I would spend anywhere from 1 to 3 hours studying its moves, getting inside of its head, and just figuring out how to destroy the thing. And it was great. When I finally defeated this boss after 2 hours, I felt like a better puppet master than iDubbbz. Okay, check this out, guys. I've been making a little map of this trail as I go along, right? So this right here, this is the line the developers of this trail intend for the player to follow, right? But I found out an exploit. If I just cut straight through the middle here like this, not only do I save a bunch of time, but I also burn less calories, experience less nature, and I get a ton of cuts on my legs. Ah, damn it. As a side note, I can't help but wonder if Let's Plays and walkthroughs have made linear single-player campaigns feel less valuable, since people can experience the game to its fullest, sometimes, just by watching somebody else play it. But this isn't all bad, right? Thanks to the internet, it's so easy to access mods and user-generated content which extend the life of single-player games exponentially. And it's become quite simple to find and play new indie games thanks to YouTubers like, what's this guy's name? Ren's Reviews, who recently highlighted a game called Hyperdemon, which I would highly recommend for you to check out. That game's amazing. The internet has paved the way for DLC and post-release updates which allow players to partake in new experiences and add on to the longevity of a game. So before embarking on this trail, I thought it would be a good idea to buy one of the loot boxes that they sell at the beginning of it. And it looks like we got some pretty cool stuff in here. Check this out. I got a skin for my character. Not bad, not really something I'd wear, but it's cool to have that. Ooh, check it out too. And a new voice line. Please, if you're hearing this, let my family know I've been kidnapped and I need help. I already have that one. Oh, and a spray. Hell yeah, baby. Woo-wee, yeah, babies. Okay, oh, and a gun. Yes, awesome. They say if you shoot yourself in the head with this thing that you'll die and respawn at the end of the trail. Saves you a bunch of time. I'm not gonna do that because, you know, they charge a lot of extra money for the bullets, so. What the fuck? I could have been killing myself this whole time? Oh, yes. Oh, damn it! Ah, shit. Just my luck. Publishers have been able to abuse the internet by using it to post microtransactions into their games. Some microtransactions literally spit in the face of the games that they're in. Ubisoft in particular is pretty bad about this. They'll make a super tedious and grindy open world campaign only to offer up ways to circumvent the grind via in-game purchases. Assassin's Creed Odyssey has a permanent XP boost which makes it so that you can earn 50% more XP from every XP source. You can buy guns in Far Cry 6, you can buy skill points in Far Cry New Dawn, and I'm sure there's plenty more out there that you guys can feel free to let me know about in the comments. And then we got battle passes, and I would argue that those are actually doing a lot of damage to the industry. At first, the battle pass was a neat, novel little idea that kept players coming back to various free-to-play titles like Fortnite. But then, every single live service game started to have a battle pass. Even games that you had to pay for started implementing these, like Call of Duty, Destiny 2, and to an extent Halo Infinite. And by now, the battle pass has more than lost its novelty. It's turned nearly every live service game into an even bigger grind, making some of these games almost feel like a second job. It's made our games even more costly since you're essentially paying for a subscription fee. And then I don't understand how anybody can keep track of all the items they've unlocked over the years. All of this is just filler, and you can only equip a small handful of whatever you've unlocked anyway. You're just never going to use 99% of what you unlock, so it kind of makes a lot of this stuff meaningless. It's just there for the illusion of value. I was playing Call of Duty the other day, and as someone who almost never plays COD multiplayer, I felt like I was dying way faster than my enemies were. So I went on over to good old Uncle YouTube to see what's what. Turns out my gun wasn't very good. Big surprise. Who's Immortal says that the MCW is better than the MCU, but I need to be level 44 to unlock this gun, and I'm only at level 13. But apparently there's a workaround. I found a video by Exoghost that tells you how to get the gun right away.
In Zombies, you can just buy it from the mystery box or from a wall, extract with it, and then you get to keep it.
So I go into Zombies mode and do exactly that. I realized that while I was going on YouTube and looking for what weapons worked best in multiplayer, I wasn't thinking for myself. I was relying on the word of someone else to be as optimal as possible. I didn't experiment with different guns and attachments to see what felt right or what worked best, meaning I most likely missed out on some fun builds and playstyles along the way. I just went straight to the top to find out what worked best. And I think that videos like this give an unfair advantage and shorten the skill gap, which hurts the game as a whole, as it makes it even harder for new players to succeed unless they also join the meta. Using only the best weapons can lead to stale gameplay, as it hurts gameplay variety, and as a result, you're more likely to get burnt out on the game even faster. Then the developers need to scramble to nerf whatever weapons were being overused and buff the ones that were being underused, and the cycle continues. And this same sentiment applies to good characters in a game like Overwatch, where right now Moana with miniguns is one of the best tanks in the game. But at the same time, it kind of feels like you have to load up a video to learn about the meta, because it's just the fastest way to learn, especially since the notion of experimentation kind of got thrown out the window the instant skill-based matchmaking and stat tracking came into the fold, because now all anyone cares about is winning and padding out their stats. So if you use bad weapons or bad characters, not only will you hear about it from your teammates, but you'll also tank your stats in the process, and that feels terrible. Back when I was a kid playing Halo 2 online, I spent hundreds of hours in that game, and I had no idea about that BXR glitch.
Now the name of the BXR is actually pretty self-explanatory. Press B to melee, X to cancel the beatdown animation, and R to shoot. The BXR is essentially a beatdown and a shot from your BR.
And I played that game for days on end while speaking to hundreds of other players, and somehow I never heard about it. And I don't really recall ever playing against someone who used it. If YouTube had existed back then, that game would have become nothing more than people abusing the BXR glitch nonstop, and it would have been a madhouse. That game would have played completely differently. I think too that watching someone who is super skilled at a game, while entertaining to watch, can make you feel inferior whenever you start playing. I remember feeling like I was just bad at Destiny 2 Crucible because I watched a ton of Cake's content and I was nowhere near as good as him. Much like a girl scrolling through Instagram, being spoon-fed photos of skinny girls in bikinis that are making her feel worse about her body, watching pros who are good at a game can lead to you feeling incompetent about your own skill level. Like, sure, I'm pretty decent, maybe even above average, yet I'll never be as good as Cakes or Fat Rat or Shroud. However, there is a secret. We all know that some of those girls use Photoshop to perfect their image.
Tana, I don't know if it was you who destroyed this bathroom, but you're clearly the one destroying these tiles. This is unsafe. I'm gonna need everybody to get out.
But did you know that some of these YouTubers use reverse boosting to heighten their gameplay? I know this because I found a video that tells you how to reverse boost.
Now into the method, and it's actually really simple. All you have to do is take a break from sweating for about 5 games. Play like an absolute bowl of dog water and potato soup. You want to go really negative. Now there's a fine line, because if you just kill yourself over and over, it won't count, and I'm relatively certain that it can tell if you're throwing on purpose, but you still want to go extremely negative 5 games in a row.
What? What? We lost? We lost? I was doing so good. What? What?
My man, you got 80.
After a couple of matches of this, you'll get put into a lobby full of losers, and then you can go nuts.
Enemies taking Bravo. Losing Charlie. Securing objective Alpha.
Reverse boosting ruins the experience for everyone. Killing yourself 45 times in a match is not fun. It's also not fun for your teammates because they're essentially down a teammate for the entire game. Then once you kill yourself enough, you get put into a match with children and fathers who offer up next to no opposition, leading to wonderful results for me. But now their experience is ruined because they're just getting absolutely destroyed. After a few matches of domination in domination, the game will just put you right back into wherever it thinks your skill level is. Skill-based matchmaking sucks all the fun out of multiplayer for a lot of people, especially good players who are more dedicated to the game. So people will rightfully look into some way to manipulate the system. And I've realized through writing this portion of the video that I used to play multiplayer games all the time, and now I almost never do, because multiplayer is really just not that fun anymore. Thinking of making a video about it. But it's not all bad, right? The internet has helped solo players find friends and squads with the introduction of LFGs. Cross-platform gaming is pretty damn awesome, and it brings all of us together. Stop. Stop. As I came to the end of this trail, I found another fork in the road. And it made me realize that I'm famished, starving, running on empty. I need to eat something. But I don't know if any of the nearby restaurants are any good. So I'm gonna need a food review to save me. So after getting into my car, I go to YouTube to see if there's any restaurant reviews. And I found this butler from the 1940s called Report of the Week. He reviewed Arby's Good Burger 2 and gave it a solid score.
And the quality thereof, especially the burger, is good. So factoring all that in, I'm going to be giving the Arby's Good Burger 2 meal a 7.2 out of 10.
So I figured I'd give it a try. Could I get the deluxe Good Burger 2 meal? Is it any good? Yeah. Oh, the Report of the Week guy, he gave it a high score, above a 7. Really? Yeah. What reporter would you mind? Oh, it's Report of the Week. He's this guy, he looks like a butler from the 1940s. Yeah, and he just reviews food.
That's so cool, really? Oh my god.
Yeah. Here we go. You guys want some? Whoa, you guys like it? Here he comes. That's like a 4 or 5 out of 10 maybe. It's probably slightly better than Kel's career. But that review of his, that damn butler got in my head. And that's why I'm here. Because of him. He influenced me. And this whole experience has made me realize that we put far too much stake into these online reviews and not enough steak on my plate. But how can we not put so much stake into them sometimes when they give scores to games that are objectively wrong? Like Halo 4 is a 9.8? Whoever wrote that review must have gotten some of Cortana's dementia. Need for Speed Rivals got an 8? But when I played that, it was practically broken. Much like the brain of the person who wrote the review. Far Cry 6 got an 8? That game is trash and we all know it. If you bought any of these games because of the scores they received, I think you deserve a refund, my friend. I haven't trusted any review IGN has made in well over 10 years. Their word holds no water for me. In other words, 0 out of 10, not enough water. I used to be convinced that they were being paid off by publishers because it was the only thing that made sense to me. But my mind was finally changed after watching Alana Pierce's video.
Knowing this guy personally, I am positive that he at no point thought I better give this game a 10 so IGN can get more reviews. I know you don't want to hear this. I know that you would like this video more if I told you that IGN's reviews were paid off, which, dear God, would every journalist at that website ever have leaked it.
You see, I think she's absolutely right. If review outlets were being paid off, we would have heard about it by now. Case in point, when Shadow of War was paying people to play their game and talk positively about it, they got exposed. The whistle got blown and we all heard about it. When Microsoft was paying creators to talk positively about the Xbox One, but trying to keep the fact that they were paying these creators quiet, they eventually got exposed and we heard about it. So if gaming journalists were being paid off, somebody somewhere would have said something by now. I think part of the problem is there's always been a sizable disconnect between gaming journalists and actual gamers. Journalists want to be taken seriously, so they use pretentious wording in an effort to sound intelligent.
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he does it.
So their voiceover presentation is always stiff and awkward as they deliver their lines with the boring flaccidity of a bald white, making me cringe every time he does it.
Like a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, this year's Zombies mode has undergone what might be described as a Warzone-ification. This is less a new take on zombies than it is a DMZ reskin, with disparate elements cherry-picked from both modes, mashed against one another and made to kiss.
And even though some of these reviews are obviously wrong, we still can't help but be affected by them. These review scores influence us and shape our opinions before we even boot up the game, and they often have the power to determine the game's success. But how often does IGN's taste align with your tastes? They have 10 to 20 people reviewing games on there. So apart from being a college graduate, what are their credentials? How much gamer score does this guy have? IGN is also generally very lenient with their reviews. I feel like they always go too easy on the video games, which overinflates their scores and ultimately lessens their meaning. Last year though, reviews did serve their purpose by helping us avoid low-effort trash like Gollum, Rise of Kong, Walking Dead Destinies, and Baldur's Gate 3. As I showed earlier, me and this butler have different tastes, and you the viewer may have different tastes than me. I might hate a game that you love, and you may hate a game that I love. The point is, if you listen to some reviewers, you could end up missing out on a game that you otherwise might have loved. Callisto Protocol didn't get the best reviews, and as a result, I avoided it. But who knows? Maybe if I actually gave it a chance, I'd end up liking it. It's so good to be back home in the warm embrace of my flexi desk. Anyway, I wanted to thank Soapy, my boy, for not only coming up with the idea for this video, but for helping with a lot of the writing and research as well. Yeah. And as always, I gotta thank my patrons because they help make videos like this possible. As every dollar I get from the Patreon goes right back into the channel, it allows me to pay for editing equipment, props, and things like that. Oh my god. So thanks for watching, everybody. I don't like this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Whew. This is high. This is so high. This is so high. Holy crap. How high do we go? Woohoo! Yeah. I could break an ankle if I fell.